In a world that never seems to slow down, where noise competes for attention and urgency is mistaken for importance, the book, The Silent Advantage, opens with a quiet but powerful observation. Calm is not weakness, and silence is not absence. Instead, calmness is presented as a strategic edge, a form of invisible strength that allows certain individuals to think clearly while others react emotionally. The author paints a vivid picture of modern life as a constant storm of notifications, opinions, crises, and demands, arguing that most people are unknowingly trapped in a cycle of emotional overreaction. In this chaos, the calm individual stands apart, not because they are detached or passive, but because they have learned how to remain steady while everything else shakes. This steadiness, the book suggests, is what allows them to dominate situations that overwhelm others. The narrative explains that human beings are biologically wired to react to threats with speed rather than wisdom. Our ancestors survived because they responded instantly to danger. But in today's world, most threats are psychological rather than physical. Emails, social media conflicts, workplace pressure, financial stress, and constant comparison trigger the same ancient fight-or-flight response. The problem is that this response shuts down higher thinking. When people react emotionally, they surrender control. The calm person, however, creates a pause between stimulus and response. That pause becomes their advantage. In that space, clarity emerges, and with clarity comes better decisions. The book emphasizes that calmness is not a personality trait reserved for monks or introverts. It is a skill trained deliberately over time. The author shares how many of the world's most effective leaders, negotiators, and strategists share one common trait: emotional restraint. They are not the loudest voices in the room, nor the most aggressive. Instead, they listen more than they speak, observe before acting, and choose their words carefully. While others exhaust themselves by constantly reacting, calm individuals conserve their energy. This conservation allows them to see patterns, anticipate outcomes, and act with precision when the moment truly matters. One of the most compelling ideas introduced early in the book is that chaos actually amplifies the power of calm. When everyone else panics, the person who remains composed automatically gains influence. People naturally look to the calm individual for direction, reassurance, and leadership. The author describes calm as a psychological anchor. In moments of uncertainty, humans seek stability, and calm behavior signals competence, safety, and authority. This is why, in high-pressure environments, such as emergency rooms, battlefields, boardrooms, and crisis negotiations, the calmest person often becomes the leader, regardless of their official title. When a person is emotionally stable, they are less likely to be manipulated. Anger, fear, and insecurity are predictable emotions, and predictable emotions are easy to exploit. The calm individual is difficult to provoke, and therefore difficult to control. The book argues that many conflicts escalate not because of the problem itself, but because of emotional reactions layered on top of it. By remaining calm, a person refuses to add fuel to the fire. This refusal often disarms opponents, frustrates manipulators, and shifts power dynamics without a single word being spoken. Another central theme introduced in this first part is the distinction between silence and weakness. Society often celebrates outspoken confidence and constant expression, while viewing silence as hesitation or lack of courage. The book challenges this assumption, suggesting that silence can be a deliberate strategy. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you do not immediately reveal your thoughts, others project their assumptions onto you, often underestimating or misjudging you. Calm, silent individuals allow others to expose themselves through impatience, ego, or emotional outbursts. The author also explores the neurological side of calmness, explaining that a calm mind processes information more accurately. Stress narrows perception, causing people to fixate on immediate threats while missing long-term consequences. Calmness, on the other hand, widens perception. It allows individuals to step back and see the bigger picture. The book argues that success in a chaotic world does not belong to those who move the fastest, but to those who move at the right moment. The reader is encouraged to reflect on their own patterns of reaction. How often do emotions dictate decisions? How often does urgency replace importance? The author does not blame the reader, but instead normalizes these behaviors as common human tendencies. However, the book makes it clear that awareness is the first step toward change. Once a person recognizes how often they are pulled into emotional turbulence, they can begin to reclaim control. Calmness becomes not just a state of mind, but a deliberate stance toward life. Calm people dominate not because they overpower others, but because they outlast, outthink, and outmaneuver them. In a world addicted to noise and speed, the calm individual moves differently, slower, sharper, and with intention. This is the silent advantage, and it is available to anyone willing to cultivate it. The journey, the book suggests, begins not with changing the world, but with mastering one's own inner state. As the book moves deeper into its exploration, it shifts from understanding calm as a concept to examining how calm individuals operate differently in everyday situations. The author explains that the calm person does not escape chaos. Instead, they move through it with awareness. While others are consumed by external noise, the calm individual is guided by an internal compass. This inner stability allows them to respond deliberately rather than impulsively. The narrative makes it clear that emotional control is not about suppression, but about regulation, acknowledging feelings without allowing them to dictate behavior. The book highlights how most people mistake emotional expression for authenticity. They believe that reacting immediately and passionately proves honesty. However, the author argues that unchecked expression often leads to regret, miscommunication, and damaged relationships. Calm individuals understand that emotions are temporary signals, not commands. By allowing emotions to pass before acting, they protect their long-term interests. This discipline gives them an advantage in negotiations, conflicts, and decision-making, where patience often outperforms intensity. In a chaotic world, attention is constantly hijacked by alerts, outrage, and urgency. The calm person guards their attention fiercely. They do not feel obligated to respond to everything or everyone. The author explains that this selectivity is not arrogance, but wisdom. When attention is scattered, thinking becomes shallow. When attention is focused, thinking becomes deep. Calm individuals create mental space by reducing unnecessary input, which allows them to process information more thoroughly and creatively. Much of human conflict, the book suggests, stems from the ego's need to be right, seen, or validated. When ego is triggered, calm disappears. Calm individuals have learned to loosen their attachment to ego-driven reactions. They do not rush to defend themselves against every perceived slight. Instead, they ask whether a response is truly necessary. This ability to let things pass without engagement often confuses others, who expect confrontation or justification. In that confusion, the calm individual retains control. The author uses vivid examples of high-stakes environments to illustrate this point. In tense meetings, the person who speaks the least but listens the most often gains the upper hand. Silence creates discomfort, and discomfort causes others to fill the space, revealing priorities, fears, and intentions. Calm individuals are comfortable with silence. They understand that silence is not empty. It is informative. While others rush to assert dominance through words, the calm person gathers leverage through observation. The book argues that success in chaotic environments is less about intelligence and more about emotional stamina. Many people burn out not because they lack ability, but because they are constantly emotionally activated. Calm individuals pace themselves. They do not treat every situation as a crisis. This measured approach allows them to remain effective over long periods, while reactive individuals exhaust themselves quickly. People instinctively trust those who appear composed under pressure. Calm behavior signals confidence, even when uncertainty is present. The author notes that calm individuals do not need to convince others of their competence. Their demeanor does the work for them. This quiet confidence often leads to greater influence, as people are drawn to those who make situations feel manageable rather than overwhelming. As the book continues, it challenges the belief that calmness dulls ambition. On the contrary, the author argues that calm sharpens ambition by removing desperation. When people are desperate, they chase short-term wins and make compromises that undermine their long-term goals. Calm individuals are patient. They are willing to wait for the right opportunity rather than forcing outcomes prematurely. This patience is portrayed as a strategic advantage in careers, relationships, and personal growth. External toughness without internal calm is fragile. When pressure increases, such toughness cracks. Calm individuals, however, are flexible. They adapt without losing their center. The book emphasizes that resilience is not about resisting change, but about maintaining internal stability while navigating change. This stability allows calm individuals to recover faster from setbacks and learn more effectively from failure. The narrative encourages the listener to reconsider their relationship with urgency. Many people equate urgency with importance, rushing decisions simply to relieve discomfort. Calm individuals tolerate discomfort without acting on it immediately. They understand that not every problem requires instant action. This tolerance creates space for better solutions to emerge. By slowing down internally, they often move forward more effectively externally. While others are pulled in multiple directions, calm individuals remain aligned with their values and objectives. They do not waste energy fighting unnecessary battles. Instead, they choose their moments carefully. This selectiveness, combined with emotional control and focused attention, allows them to navigate chaos with precision. The book suggests that as external noise continues to increase, the value of calm will only grow, making it one of the most powerful skills a person can develop. As the narrative deepens further, the book begins to reveal how calmness is not only a personal strength, but also a tool for shaping environments and influencing outcomes. Calm individuals do not merely survive chaos, they subtly reorganize it. Their presence changes the emotional temperature of a room. Where tension once dominated, clarity begins to appear. The author explains that emotions are contagious, and just as panic spreads quickly, so does composure. A single calm person can stabilize an entire group simply by refusing to mirror emotional volatility. The book explores how calmness transforms conflict. Most conflicts escalate because both sides react emotionally, creating a feedback loop of defensiveness and aggression. Calm individuals break this loop. They listen without interrupting, respond without hostility, and remain grounded even when provoked. This behavior often disarms opponents, not because it is passive, but because it removes the expected resistance. When there is nothing to push against, aggression loses its power. The author emphasizes that calm is not surrender, it is strategic non-escalation. A powerful idea introduced in this section is the difference between control and force. Force demands compliance, while control guides outcomes. Calm individuals understand this distinction. They do not attempt to dominate conversations or situations through volume or intensity. Instead, they guide interactions through tone, timing, and restraint. This approach often leads others to cooperate willingly, believing the decision to be their own. The book frames this as a higher level of influence, one that operates invisibly, yet effectively. The narrative then examines how calm people handle uncertainty. While most individuals seek immediate answers to relieve anxiety, calm individuals accept uncertainty as a temporary state. They do not rush to conclusions or cling to false certainty. This tolerance for ambiguity allows them to gather more information before deciding. The author explains that many poor decisions are made not because of lack of intelligence, but because of discomfort with not knowing. Calm individuals endure that discomfort, giving them access to better options. Another theme developed here is the relationship between calmness and identity. The book suggests that people who are overly reactive often tie their self-worth to outcomes, opinions, or external validation. When those things are threatened, emotional reactions follow. Calm individuals, on the other hand, have a more stable sense of self. Their identity is not easily shaken by criticism, failure, or disagreement. This internal security allows them to remain composed even when challenged. They do not need to prove themselves in every interaction. The author also addresses the misconception that calm people lack passion. In reality, calm individuals often feel deeply, but they choose when and how to express those feelings. Their passion is focused rather than scattered. Because they are not constantly emotionally drained, they can invest their energy in meaningful pursuits. The book describes calmness as a form of emotional budgeting, spending emotional energy where it creates the greatest impact, rather than wasting it on every disturbance. As the narrative progresses, it turns toward leadership, emphasizing that calmness is one of the most underrated leadership qualities. In times of crisis, people do not look for the most dramatic leader. They look for the most stable one. Calm leaders create psychological safety. They make others feel seen, heard, and supported, even under pressure. This sense of safety encourages honesty and collaboration, allowing teams to function more effectively. The author argues that calm leadership is not about having all the answers, but about maintaining clarity when answers are unclear. The book also explores how calm individuals recover from mistakes. Rather than spiraling into self-criticism or blame, they analyze errors objectively. This detachment allows for faster learning and adaptation. The author contrasts this with reactive individuals, who often become defensive or discouraged after failure, repeating the same mistakes due to emotional blind spots. Calmness, in this context, becomes a tool for continuous improvement. A particularly striking section discusses how calm reshapes time perception. When people are anxious or overwhelmed, time feels scarce, leading to rushed decisions. Calm individuals experience time differently. By slowing their internal pace, they expand their sense of available time. This expanded perception allows for thoughtful planning and intentional action. The book suggests that calm does not reduce productivity. It enhances it by eliminating wasted effort. The narrative highlights the cumulative effect of calm choices. Small moments of restraint, patience, and clarity compound over time. While reactive individuals experience cycles of intensity and burnout, calm individuals build steady momentum. Their progress may appear slower on the surface, but it is more sustainable and ultimately more powerful. The book frames calmness as a long-term strategy rather than a short-term tactic. Calm is not something to be turned on only in emergencies. It is a daily practice, reinforced through countless small decisions. Each time a person chooses to pause instead of react, to listen instead of interrupt, to observe instead of assume, they strengthen their calm. Over time, this calm becomes automatic, shaping behavior, relationships, and outcomes. In a world that thrives on chaos, the calm individual quietly continues to rise, not through noise, but through mastery of self. As the book reaches its final movement, the focus shifts from understanding calmness to fully embodying it as a way of life. The author emphasizes that calm is not a temporary state achieved during meditation or moments of rest, but a practiced orientation toward reality. Calm individuals do not wait for conditions to improve before becoming steady. They bring steadiness into imperfect conditions. This distinction is crucial because a chaotic world rarely offers ideal circumstances. Those who depend on external calm remain vulnerable, while those who cultivate internal calm remain resilient. The narrative returns to the idea that calmness is built through repetition. Each moment of restraint strengthens the nervous system's capacity to remain balanced. Over time, what once required effort becomes instinct. The author explains that calm individuals are not free from stress, but they recover from it faster. Their nervous systems are trained to return to equilibrium instead of lingering in agitation. This ability to reset allows them to face repeated challenges without accumulating emotional fatigue. The book also explores how calm shapes long-term success. In careers, calm individuals are often underestimated early on because they do not engage in self-promotion or dramatic displays of effort. However, their consistency eventually becomes impossible to ignore. They make fewer costly mistakes, build stronger professional relationships, and earn trust over time. The author argues that trust is the true currency of influence, and calm behavior generates trust naturally. People feel safer relying on those who remain composed under pressure. As the narrative widens, it addresses relationships, describing calm as an act of respect. In personal interactions, calm individuals listen without preparing a counterargument. They respond without dismissing emotions, yet they do not absorb emotional chaos as their own. This balance allows them to support others without losing themselves. The book suggests that many relationships fail not due to lack of love, but due to lack of emotional regulation. Calm becomes the space where understanding can exist without escalation. The author then reflects on the modern obsession with constant expression. Social platforms reward immediate reactions, strong opinions, and emotional intensity. The book challenges the reader to consider the cost of this culture. Every reaction trains the mind to be reactive again. Calm individuals step outside this loop. They choose silence when expression adds no value. This choice is framed not as withdrawal, but as discernment. Not every thought needs to be shared, and not every emotion needs to be acted upon. A profound theme emerges around freedom. The book suggests that true freedom is not the ability to do whatever one wants, but the ability to choose one's response. Reactive individuals are controlled by circumstances. Calm individuals retain agency. This agency allows them to live intentionally rather than impulsively. The author describes calm as a form of self-ownership, the capacity to remain oneself regardless of external pressure. As the conclusion approaches, the narrative acknowledges that calm will sometimes be misunderstood. In a loud world, silence can be mistaken for indifference. In a reactive culture, patience can be mistaken for weakness. The book reassures the reader that this misunderstanding is not a disadvantage, but a protective shield. While others reveal their intentions through impulsive behavior, calm individuals remain unreadable, conserving their power. Over time, results speak louder than reactions ever could. The author revisits the core idea that calm is not about avoiding conflict or ambition, but about engaging both wisely. Calm individuals do not shy away from challenges. They meet them with clarity. They do not abandon goals. They pursue them without desperation. This balanced intensity allows them to move forward steadily, adapting without losing direction. The book suggests that the calm path may feel slower, but it is far more durable. In its final reflections, the book frames calm as a quiet rebellion against chaos. In choosing calm, one refuses to be pulled into unnecessary drama, fear, or urgency. This refusal is not passive. It is deliberate. It is a declaration that one's inner state will not be dictated by external disorder. The author reminds the reader that chaos will always exist, but dominance within it belongs to those who remain centered. The closing message is both simple and profound. The silent advantage is not something to be displayed, announced, or proven. It is something to be lived. Each calm response, each moment of restraint, each thoughtful pause builds a life that is less reactive and more intentional. In a world that grows louder every day, those who master calm will continue to rise quietly, clear-minded, grounded, and in control, not because they overpower the world, but because they mastered themselves.